everybody, good afternoon. This is Jean here. Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for you. I'm doing my row by row along with Jean quilt project for beginners. One of the last videos I put up was one of the easiest beginning block. I made 4 of the pinwheels, as you know, and I got that out of the way. So again, I don't know how often I'm going to be putting these videos up because it's a lot for a beginner to maybe do 3 or 4 blocks. If a sampler quilt, you make different blocks, but we're doing some of them the same way. Now I am going to be doing a video after this introduction of my what I call like a tulip flower block. It's a patchwork block. The hardest part of it was the cutting, and it wasn't very hard. I explain it step by step, as you know, This is my little block that we're going to be doing. Now, this is a 9-inch block. Our pinwheel was a 12-inch block when it's finished in the seams. This is a 9-inch, and I tell you exactly what we're cutting. Our pinwheel was a 4-patch, basically 1, 2, 3, 4 units with fabric in it. This is a 9-patch, very simple block, but looks a little bit complicated, doesn't it? The cutting is you have to be precise. There is a measurement that I go over and over and over, 3 7/8, and I show you on the ruler exactly where it is. Just take your time, go slowly. Now I think I'm going to be making 4 of these blocks. I'm not going to be making them exactly the same. I'm going to, because in my fat quarter mix, I have paler pinks, I have darker greens, but I am going to be making 3 more of basically the background, the red and the green of these blocks here. And as I said, my next block, I think, again, will be a 9-inch or 9.5-inch right now, 9-inch finished. I think I'm going to be doing, as I said a couple videos ago, a churn dash, which again is a very simple quilt, but 9 inches. And I think that my row will be these 4 blocks and those 4 blocks. And again, if I want sashing in between, because I don't know how it's going to end up, I'll figure that out. But I'm going to be making 3 more of these blocks. And again, it's just the cutting. It's fairly straightforward. Don't you guys tell me I do mess up. It's right in front of me. I'm sewing away. I'm thinking, oh yeah, get your configuration, get your reference right, Jean. I messed up. And I show you that. I unpick it. But it ended up really pretty. So I do hope you like this, folks. Again, a beginner's block, but a little bit more precise. You have to go very slowly. I am going to actually be cutting off 3 more separately. I'm not going to try to like chain piece it. I'm just going steady. I'm just going to make 1 block at a time. I'm sure you can chain piece. You can cut so many, I'm not going to do that. I've enjoyed making that. I think it's so pretty. I'm looking at through the viewfinder. So I hope you enjoy this, but at the very end of my video, after my tutorial, I have gotten 3 lovely photographs from 3 viewers who I do recognize your names when you're in your comments, and that's from Mary Phibbs, P-H-I-B-B-S, with your hubby. Kristen Hills, she's in Pennsylvania actually. I have seen your comment. I think you're the one that thought Stefan was cute. Kristen Hills, yes, in Pennsylvania. And Rochelle Stewart. Rochelle, I thought that as soon as I saw the name, you go under Shell Seashells. I was wondering who that was. So everybody now can see your pretty pictures, and we get to know each other by face. All right, folks, thank you again. Hope you enjoy the video. Love from the Trueloves. See you later. Bye-bye. Now this is what we're going to be doing to make our 1 block. I probably will be making 4 of these blocks, but I don't want you to get confused or anything because it looks like a tremendous amount. But last week when we were making our pinwheel block, or whenever that was, we started out with a 4-patch. Remember? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that doesn't mean we had just 4 pieces of fabric. That meant what? That we had half square triangles with a seam here, okay, to make our 4-patch, all right? Now, the same way, this week, or this, whenever it is, we are making a 9 patch, okay? Now, this is my fabric, but before I go into my fabric selection, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we're going to do, how this block is going to end up looking. Okay? And in my tulip block, I have 4 different fabrics, okay? I have what's called the background, which I am going to be using my cream script. I have my floral, my red floral, which is here, here, and here, making up my flower, which is my dark red. I have my little flower bud, which is here, which is more of a pink. And then I have the leaf fabric down here, which is my green, okay? So we are going to be cutting some of these pieces. I've already cut the primary way to do it, and I'm going to be showing you how on the ruler that you do that. But this is what our little flower block is going to look like. A 9 patch with just a little bit more detail, okay? Even for a beginner, I'm sure I can explain it really, really easy for you. So the block is going to end up this size. This is a 9.5 inch ruler. So our 12.5 inch block was pretty good and pretty easy. And so I didn't want to make our second block any smaller. I will be getting to that point, but the next couple blocks I'm going to be making 9.5 inches. So this is a decent size ruler, and I'm going to be showing you, because we have what may be deemed as a funky measurement, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to cut our one measurement here. So again, for my background fabric, okay, for my background fabric, I'm going to pick this up like this. This is my cream script. I've cut 3.5 inch squares. Now you obviously want to either write that down or just take a screenshot of this so you have this, obviously, because this is what you're going to be cutting. I've cut 1 2-inch square right there. I've cut 2 3 7/8 inch squares. Now I'm going to be showing you at the end of this how I found on my ruler and on your ruler how you can find the 7/8 inch mark. Okay, you might not know how to do that. It's not scary once you get to know your rulers, and I'm going to be showing you on this ruler here. Let me just see if I can have a, no, that's a, I'm going to be showing you on this ruler here, okay, which is an OmniGrid ruler, where exactly the 3 7/8 mark is when I'm done. And then we're going to be cutting one rectangle, 3.5 inches by 2 inches. For our flower fabric, for our pretty flower fabric here, we're going to be cutting 1 3.5 inch square, okay? And you have to keep them separate, because we're going to be cutting 1 3 7/8, and they almost look the same, don't they? They almost look the same. So I have them done like this so I can, and I'm an experienced quilter, but this is how I keep my things marked, so I know exactly what I've cut and how I've kept it in order. Now this is just for one block. It seems a lot, but it's going to be a pretty block, and it's not going to be that hard. This, I think, is the hardest part of the block. For our little flower bud, which is this little tiny bud in here, I'm using a paler pink, and I've cut 1 2-inch square. Okay? For my leaf fabric, which is going to end up this half square triangles, I have cut 1 3 7/8 inch. Again, that funky little measurement. But we are going then to be cutting down our 3 7/8 inch to make our little block here. But I'm going to be showing you that in the next step. So again, Okay, so I have really zoomed in on my little 4.5 inch ruler here, okay? I'm going to be putting up another little shot for you also. Hopefully this will make sense. Now, when we have, again, this is in inches. We are in America. We don't do centimeters. This is a 4.5 inch ruler. 1 inch, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then the half. So now, I'm wanting to get the 7/8, all right? So I'm going to the 3, and the very first line here, the very first line, see if I can show you, that little line down there is 1/4. The second line is 3.5. Okay, so that would be the 3.5 line. And these rulers are really... There's the 3 3/4 mark. The 3 7/8 is the next line right there. And I'll put up another marker so I can see exactly, show you exactly where. It's coming down here to that line there. And there is my 3 7/8 inch. Now, you might be thinking, as I did in the beginning, I'm like, oh, why can't I just cut a hunk 4 inches or whatever, or 5 inches and cut it down? You probably could, maybe, I don't know. But in quilting, there are certain things that you want to do properly, and if you're a very beginner, you want to learn it very, very quickly on. And it's no big deal once you get to know your tools that you have. Hopefully you will be having a ruler like this and a ruler like this, which I have here, my larger one, and something like this. So we will be having, you know, some of the eighths of, you know, eighths or 3/4 or something like that. And I remember saying in the beginning, oh, those funky measurements. But to make a block really, really nice, at the end of the day, it does need to be exact. Certain things. So hopefully you've made a notation of all of our first cuts. Now we do have 3 subcuts to make, and that's on the 3 7/8 inch square, which is our largest square, okay? We have cut 2 of the 3 7/8 inch squares here. This is my largest to make sure. There's my smallest, my 3.5, there's my 2, there's my rectangle. So I have these 2 3 7/8 inch squares. I'm going to do these separately. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them on the diagonal. That's all. I'm just going to cut them from one point, let me move this over here, from one point here to another point there. That's all. You're just going to need a nice ruler. Make sure you're right on that diagonal, allowing for the blade of your rotary cutter. So you want to get it right on the diagonal. Okay, now it is time to start putting our little quilt together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my fabric cutting instructions, and I'm left with my pieces here. Okay, now I did have somewhere, I had a design sort of board batting. This is just a bit of foam here. I have to find it. I don't know where it was since we moved. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rough idea of where my pieces are going to go. That's very, very exciting. So now what I'm going to do is I have my rectangle, my background rectangle, and then I have my 2 inch square right here. Okay, this is just sort of going to make up what my block is hopefully going to look like. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. Now, here's our 9 patch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we obviously have to sew our units together. So I'm going to go over to my machine, and I'm going to literally just do the top row. I'm going to, first of all, take this like this, and separate them. Separate all my pieces. but I'm going to keep them here on my sort of design board, as it were. Okay. My machine. It's in front of me here, and I have my sort of little design wall going here, and I'm going to do exactly like I showed you over at my cutting board. I'm going to start taking my 9 patch, and this is the little bud, my little 2-inch pieces here. Again, you don't have to backstitch. Keep your 1/4 of an inch. Very, very careful. Keep your 1/4 of an inch. And I just find it ever so easy to put it back. Just finger press that. Don't stress it. To put it back, and then see what I have to do. So I'm just going to finger press that, and then I'm going to take my little rectangle that we've cut, and look, it matches perfectly. Just go steady by steady. What does that mean, steady by steady? That's silly. Oh, somebody has, I've been asked a million times, why don't I use my my thread cutter? I don't know. I don't like that thing. It like chunks and it, bleh, I don't know. And now again, I'm just going to finger press that. Now I always say, I'm letting the fabric tell me where it wants to go. To me, it wants to go up. So I'm just going to place that back on my board here. Now I have my, should have pressed this. I should have ironed it. Do as I say, don't do as I do. So I have my 2 triangles, okay, my little bud, making sure. Now they've been cut really good. Really, really good. And I'm going to go in to my 1/4 of an inch from the top here. So it's not the very top, it's a 1/4 of an inch down. Hopefully you can appreciate that. Now this is on the bias. We do not want to stretch this. Okay, you don't want to stretch it. I'm just holding it there. Just holding it and guiding it. As you can see, I have not used any pins. I don't have to. I'm working with small pieces here. And again, so as not to stretch that, I pinch and I pull and I cut my threads. And again, I will go over when I've done all my pieces, and I will set these seams, and I will press that over to the dark side without stressing that seam. Now that goes there. Okay? Now, I am going to continue constructing all of my bits. This is just a plain one, so that's that. But I'm on my 2nd row, and again, this is how it's configured. I put the pretty side to the pretty side. This time it's on the dark side. Go slowly, because again, this is on the bias. That goes like, how does it go? I forget how it goes. Oh, anyway, am I looking at it? No, it goes somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? So I need my little, I need my little, let me go get that actually. Oh wow, you see that? I needed my diagram in front of me actually. Look at that. So that one goes like that. I got it all wrong. And then this one goes like that. There's my little tulip. There you go. Now I don't have to do anything with that center 9 patch right there. There's my tulip, but I'm going to come over to do the leaf right here. So I have pressed all of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks. They're in the configuration that they need to be. And they are all measuring 3.5 inches square. Remember? So this 3 7/8, all of these 3 7/8 that we had to cut down, measure up when they're sewn together exactly the 3.5 inches, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my top row. I'm going to make sure that my configuration is absolutely correct from my diagram here, and I'm just going to put the pretty side over to the pretty side. I'm going to continue sewing my 2nd and my 3rd row together. Hey, Maxwell.
Hi.
Hi, Bone. Isn't that funny? Oh my goodness, I heard y'all screaming at me. Oh, it's so funny. Now cut that dog ear off. And then, there you go. Okay. Should look like that. Turn that around so you guys can see our lovely little tulip block there. I'm going to now just sew together two last rows. So it goes like that. And because we've cut it and we've sewn it pretty good, again, you're going to have your 1/4 inch up here. Our seams should nest right together there, which they do on our 9 patch. They should nest right together there, which they do. 1/4 inch. Oh, I ran out of bobbin thread. I think it's time for me to stop sewing. It's so funny. All right, let me put some bobbin thread in. Okay, let's start this again. Pretty sides together, top row to middle row. My holes are there from where I stitched it without any thread in it. What do you think? 9 patch. Oh, just go over and I'm going to iron that, and I will have shown it to you in the beginning. Oh, it's so pretty. When you finish this block, you should measure it 9.5 inches exactly. So I have my block and I have my 9.5 inch ruler. I'm going to see just slightly small on this side, missing about 1/8 inch over here. But it's pretty good, 9.5. What is the most important really on a block like this is that you have your 1/4 inch here and your 1/4 inch here, and of course your 1/4 inch here. So when you go to sew it into your block, you're not cutting those points off because they are very, very specific, these red ones. But isn't it pretty? Oh, I think it's so pretty. Yay! Ta-da! Thanks, folks.